Hello, I'm Nathaniel Smith, and today I'm going to be reviewing Spacer and the Rat. Let's start out with the... Okay, Spacer and the Rat it's not terrible, it's just not that good. It's just a typical sci-fi action adventure, but there's a load of problems in the book. There's direct pop cultural references to other authors, like spaceships called the Ray Bradbury, for example. Not that I don't mind nods and references to other authors and not, I would just love some subtlety, that's all. On top of that, you have these absurd catchphrases, or not catchphrases, slang terms, I mean. They have these absurd, idiotic slang phrases, like, here we go. They literally have a group called the Sci Guys and Earthies. Earthies. That's a slang term. They even use geeks as another term for slang, and it's just, ugh. Anyways, the main story is just about an AI robot, how that AI robot's wanted because it has so much intellectual blah blah blah. Same old, everything you've heard done before. The main character is a spacer, which makes no damn sense, honestly. We know very little about Spacer, and most of the entire story, he wants no involvement in the story. He just wants to go to a whole nother place because of some family. He has some subtle hint with a romance that not only goes nowhere, there was just no need for it. And on top of that, there's two terrible things that occurred in the book, and that's this. There were actually some great ideas. Now, there's nothing wrong with great ideas. It's only when they're severely underdeveloped, as in the case of this book, and focused instead on these cliches which have already been done to death, and other ridiculously stupid things, when they had something really good to work with. And this all comes into context with the rats. Now, rats is not referring to the actual animal rat. Rat is actually a nickname for kids. More specifically, kids that get dumped by their parents who can't take care of them in space. So, like, say you were having these immigrant parents and they're moving from planet to planet, but they had very little money when they were moving from another planet and instead of taking responsibility for the kids, they just literally dump these kids off on a planet and leave them there. Yes, this is a pretty dark, mature subject matter, but that's kind of the genius thing. This idea put in a sci-fi story in the future on an alien planet, it's just a brilliant idea. It's something that would have been both fantastic as a children's novel, as a sci-fi novel as a whole. I mean, all you needed to do was to focus on a kid that got dumped by, his parents dumped him and left him there as a kid to fend and take care of himself or herself, whoever, and literally had no one to take care of. Constant set of fear, constant set of psychoanalysis in his head going, did my parents ever love me? Did they hate me? Did they not give a shit? There's so much they could have done with this. And then on top of that, the beauty is the actual people on the planets despise the rats because they take up resources. And on top of that, when they find rats, they actually make fun with them. They actually chase after the rats and not necessarily abuse them, but do terrify them a lot. And it's like, yes, this idea is very dark and mature, but it's perfect in concept for sci-fi. It's a really great idea to just delve into. A great balance of both sci-fi on an alien planet with a very believable drama that sadly does mirror an aspect of human society as it is now or in the past. And instead of focusing on this one fascinating element, it is completely underdeveloped. The main character rat in this story does not even have her parents leave. No, her parents just happen to die. Even though other rats have had their parents literally just drop them on the planet and leave them there, this rat was lucky to have her parents actually cared, they just happened to die. And then on top of that, instead of focusing on just a rat fending for himself, the entire story is on the spacer, who is in this instance kind of like the character in Dances with the Wolves, or in the case of Avatar, you know, the one with the blue alien thing. You know, they're basically the white person, middle ground, seeing the effects of prejudice in their eyes, or realizing what there was going on is wrong, and blah 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 blah. Been done before, heard it. What this story should have been and what it is what pisses me off. Because all this story is a stupid artificial intelligence story that does nothing new and nothing different. I mean, the robot, which is named Waldo, he does nothing different, nothing unique as a character or in context to a story. The only interesting thing that happens with Waldo is at the end, because he mentions how he plans to create other artificial intelligent robots for himself and create sort of an artificial robot society in space, which is sort of an interesting idea, but even then I think it's been done before. But it was the most interesting idea from the robot. I mean, everything else in the story is so cliche, or it's so absurd. And yet you have this one brilliant element, this one element that would totally mature sci-fi and bring a level of sophistication, and actually have the guts to delve into some serious subject matter for kids, and it is completely underdeveloped and unfocused on it at all. They literally do not write a story on the most fascinating element in this entire story. All this story needed to be was about a rat who was trying to fend for him or herself, and constantly going through her mind why her parents just dropped her there and left her on some alien planet in a far-flung future in space, because it's a sci-fi story in space, if you hadn't figured that out. And it's not focused on that. Oh, and another thing is, if the kids, the rats, get caught by the government, they'll literally immigrate them back to their home planet as well. So it's just like, you have such a fantastic idea, and it's underdeveloped. The whole idea of in space, on an alien planet, the idea of a rat, a kid that literally gets, just left on a planet as the parents leave because they don't have the funds to take care of the kid, and the kid has to take care of themselves while constantly going through their head, why did their parents do such a thing to them? Did they ever even love them? Did they even hate them? It's just, this could have been so good, and instead became so just disappointing. The one good idea in this is severely underdeveloped. Why? I don't know. But it is. So yeah, Spacer and the Rat.